type 0, as we covered, the points were all given. Here we have to make our own points. Okay, so type 1, right? Profit, revenue, style, and you will need to create a table. You need to create a table of values. That's how these 1, 2, and 3 will be different in that way. Okay, that you'll have to create your own. Always remember you need 3 points, right? Types 1 to 3 require you to create a table. And again, repeating, you create a table, and you need at least 3 points to perform a regression. Okay, regressions, when it comes to quadratic, always need 3 points. Some of the keywords that you want to look for to identify that this is type 1, if you see something like referring to profit, revenue, items being sold, right? How much each item costs, stuff like that, you know you're in this territory. Okay. So this is what a table could look like, right? So you make a table with 3 entries like this. So you, for example, you'd have the cost, price, right, per item. I should add that maybe, per item. So this could be tickets, this could be, you know, pounds, whatever it is, right? Cost or price. And then in the middle, you'll see the number of items that are being sold under that price. And at the end, you would have profit. So profit, watch this, you multiply cost times the items, right? Cost times items. If you multiply these two, you will see how much money is being made, right? If you sell something for $10 a piece and you sell 10 of them, you'd have a profit of $100, right? So let's just fill that in. So let's say it's $10 and you sell 10 items, right? That'd be 10 times 10. That'd be $100 profit in this case, right? So that's kind of what we're going to do here. So that would be step number 1, okay? Step number 2, enter either cost, right, or items. So one of these two, right, you can put into L1, but this is the kicker here. This is the most important one of all. Profit, right, profit goes into L2. My green highlighter is not the best. It's kind of making things worse. So I will just highlight this. This column right here is always L2. This is my Y variable. So where will I make a note here? Always L2. Right? This is sort of my Y variable. And one of these is going to be your X variable. It depends on the question. The question may want to ask you to make an equation that relates the cost per item and the profit, or it may ask you to say, how do you relate the items being sold to the profit? So either one of these will go into L1, just read the question, but this one is always going to go into our L2. That is very important. Note, what goes into L1 depends on the wording of the question. Does it ask for the equation relating cost and profit? Then you would do this. Then you would put cost into L1 and profit into L2. Right? Which means that on that, the parabola that you will get out of that would be always cost, profit. So at what cost, right, per ticket do you reach a certain profit for that company, right? What if the question says, hey, relate the items sold and the profit? Well, then you put this into L1 and the profit still goes into L2. Remember, for both of them, profit goes into L2. And then you'll just have the items sold right, compared to the profit the company makes. It doesn't have to be a company, it could be just even a fundraiser, right? And then step number 3 is perform the regression using Quadratic. And this is a big note. Make sure that your resulting equation does not have a equal to 0. Okay, that's very important. You should not have a equal to 0. That would be a linear equation. And why am I saying this, you think? Why am I putting this in the notes? Because it happens. Students do this all the time. This is the most common mistake, especially exam time. You haven't done this in a while. Students put L1, L2, right? They put these two into L1 and L2. They forget about profit being the L2. And if you put these two in, you will get a linear equation. It will not be a quadratic. So you got to watch out for that. All right, some other stars down here, some notes. Watch this. Since L1 and L2 are being used, you can turn on plot 1. That's probably a good one to remember, right? Every time you put stuff into, basically if you perform a regression, you're going to be using L1 and L2. Have plot 1 turned on. We use Zoom 9 to see the graph, but we need to adjust your window until you see the entire parabola. Right? And obviously in quadrant 1. So don't think that Zoom 9 is going to solve your problem. It's just going to get you so that you see the parabola. Okay. Next. So these are the 3 steps in general that you will go through. Generally, questions of this type will ask how the profit can be maximized. Yes, how the profit can be maximized. Right? As a company, you want to try to find the price, the sweet spot. You know, BioSteel drinks, that's a big thing. I don't know if you're into it too, but my boys, they're like, oh, BioSteel everything. And so at first they were like super expensive, and I told them nobody's gonna buy it in the long run unless they drop the price. And sure enough, a month in or whatever, they were dropping it, and it was going on sale, right? So because they want to maximize profit, right? There's that relationship between the price of the item and how much profit you make. If you charge too much, you're not going to sell enough. If you charge too little, you're not going to make enough, right? So there's that relationship. This means that you will need to find the vertex. Break-even situations happen at the x-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to label this a little bit. So let's say you were graphing cost and profit. This should tell you that the cost went into the L1, which is my x variable. Profit went into the y variable. So that tells you that you would have profit here, that's in dollars, and you would have cost on the x-axis, which is also in dollars. Okay? And at the vertex, you have the cost that would give you the maximum profit. Okay, not just any profit, you would actually reach the highest, the maximum profit right here. And I'm going to stick with green. But the vertex in this case gives you the maximum profit. Okay. Let's say on the other hand, the question asks you to relate the items sold and also the profit. Like, how are those two related? Okay. Well, profit is my Y, profit in dollars, and this would be items sold, and you would just go number of, right? Number of items, so whole numbers there. The vertex would tell you, hey, this is how many items need to be sold to get the max profit. So max profit happens at the vertex as well. Guys, the curves themselves will look different. I made it look like they look exactly the same. One might be a little wider than the other, but the max profit, regardless of which one you use, will be the same. Like let's say you make $10,000 max, regardless of which parabola you would use, that would be the same. These two numbers would be different, like the cost and the items, that would vary, but the max profit resulting would be the same in either case. Okay. Let's talk about break even. The x-intercept right here, I will write down break even first. Right, like you would make zero profit, like you wouldn't be making any money. So that would be considered breaking even, right? So not ideal, but at least you're not going into the minuses, right? So this could be concert tickets, this could be rental fees, you name it, right? The scenario that surrounds this. And let's talk about, I want you to understand what's happening here, okay? Look carefully. If you follow the x-axis, the more you increase the price of the product, the more you're going to be making money, right? You make more, you make more, you make more. And then you reach the price, the cost per item that gives you that sweet spot where you make the most money. But when you start overcharging, right? If you charge too much, you're going to start selling less and less. Like people aren't going to buy as much. So that starts to cause a decrease of your total profit as a company, right? So that's what's happening here. Same thing if you want to look at this one here, the number of items sold, right? The more you sell, but as the cost increases too much, you're going to start selling fewer items. That's why you're starting to see a decrease in profit, right? So this is what the companies are after. This one right here. How can we come up with a price to get the most out of it, right? They spent a lot of money on advertising and trying to get focus groups together, like what would people be willing to pay, what's out there, right, to be able to make money. All right, let's go over to page 54 and actually put this to the test. Okay, so let's say you read this one. First of all, you should realize, just scanning it quickly, there's no equation here. You see that? There's no equation. It's like, okay, I'm probably going to have to make one. Okay, let's see here. A movie theater charges $1.80 per ticket. That's important, right? At this price, it sells approximately 400 tickets per day. The theater manager has observed that for every, watch this, for every 10-cent increase in ticket price, 40 fewer tickets are being sold. So there's stuff happening here. So we can do this. Cost per ticket. Okay. That would be one entry. Then you would actually have number of tickets. Right? There's something about the cost of tickets and the number of tickets that's going to give you the profit. And to fill this last one in, we're going to simply multiply the cost times the ticks, right, for short. So the first ones they usually give you, okay? So we know that the cost per ticket, if it's $1.80, sorry, what happened there? If it's $1.80, that's what's supposed to go on there. If that item, right, in this case ticket, cost $1.80, we are told that we're going to sell 400. So they basically give you a head start. They're like, this is a given. Which means that over here we're going to go $1.80 times 400, but we're not going to calculate that just yet. Just leave it like that. Mind you, this chart doesn't have to be pretty. In this case, I made it for you, but if you make your own, just make a T chart and start filling this in. Now, what happens when you change the ticket price? If you were to increase this by 10 cents, right, so 0.10, that would mean that the ticket would be $1.90 now. What happens to the number of tickets sold? Something happens, right? 40 fewer tickets are being sold. So that'll be minus 40, and that would give you 360 tickets. So if you charge $1.90, you would be selling 360. Right? So now we're kind of considering every scenario, or other scenarios, I should say. So then we go over here, and to get our profit under that scenario, we would just multiply 190 times 360. How many points do we need? We need 3. So you can almost think this is going to be point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. Here we go. We're going to do the same thing again. If we were to increase another 10 cents, the price per ticket gets us to $2. And it stands to reason that you would lose another 40 customers. So 360 minus 40, we're down to 320. And so these could be decimals. It depends on the scenario, okay? So now we have over here 2 times 320. And you're like, why aren't you calculating this? I'll show you a trick that I use to make it so you don't have to double the work, okay? So let's read. So this is technically our table. It's now created. Determine what it says here. Determine the equation relating the ticket price. That's going to go into L1 and the profit. If it just says come up with an equation relating this scenario, you have to choose which one goes into L1. In this case, they tell us ticket price. So we're going to make this L1. This is L1. And remember, profit is always L2. L1 and L2. So we're going to say, okay, no problem. Stat, calc, quadreg. We're going to come up with that equation in a minute. So grab your calculators. And we're going to go stat, edit, clear whatever is in there. Sometimes, even on the provincial exam, it could be that they make you fill in 4 or 5. Like if they already give you a table, then do it, okay? But 3 is the minimum. So let's type in 180, 190, 2, right? Then we go over to L2. You're not going to enter the number of tickets. You're going to enter this. So watch what I do. I go 1.8 times 400 on my calculator. and I hit enter, and then you just write this down, right? That's 720, 1.9 times 360, right into that cell. It's like an Excel spreadsheet, right? And then 2 times 320, 640. And there you have it. You've entered these numbers into L2. It's as if, guys, you entered point 1.8720, 1.9684 to 640. Like, these are actually 3 points that we're entering. So now let's go ahead and perform the regression. Stat, calculate, quadratic regression, second 1, comma, second 2, comma, alpha, trace, enter. And if you have done a regression before, just scroll up on your screen, copy that down, right? It saves you typing this in. So there it is. That's our equation. Negative 400x squared plus 1120x, okay? So this equation. And profit questions are usually going to start at the origin, because if you charge $0, you're going to make $0, correct? Like zero ticket will give you 0 profit. So 0, 0 is our origin. So we can tell that our y-intercept is 0, okay? It makes sense. So let's go ahead and graph this thing. I'm going to check if plot 1 is turned on. It is. Then I'm going to go zoom 9. You could try just graph it. Maybe you will see it. But I'm going to go zoom 9 for zoom stat. And you can clearly tell it's a bit of a curve, but it's not at all the whole picture. Okay, so we're going to go to window. My X min, I don't know why, but I go kind of standard -5. X max, I don't know, I'm going to go 20. Don't ask me why, that's what I'm going to start with. Y min, I'm going to go -5 or -10. You want to see a little bit of the x-axis. And Y max, we know we're going higher up. So I'm going to double what I have there and kind of just go with 1500 for now. That's what I'm doing. So you just play around till you see the graph, right? Hit graph. Ooh, X max is overkill, right? I overdid it with my X max. So I'm going to go window. I can probably slice that in half. So X max just 10 maybe. Hit graph. It's still overkill. Not that it really hurts you. You're going to be able to answer the same thing. I even see that my X min could have probably just been -1, right? So you're kind of getting rid of the stuff that's outside your graph, right? So if you reduce the X max and reduce your X min, you just see more of the curve, okay? So there we go. We're good to go now with answering questions because we see everything. What ticket price would result in the maximum profit? What is the maximum profit? So they're asking us for 2 things. The ticket price, sorry, I should have underlined the ticket price that would give us the max profit and the max profit itself. Both of these pieces will be found at the vertex. So let's go ahead and find the vertex. Second trace max. So we're going to go second trace maximum. It kind of, and you see those 3 points that you entered, right? Enter, go to the right, hit enter, and then enter one more time. Write down the coordinate. So we round to 2 decimals, right? And we know that this is the ticket price. And that this is the max profit. the most that the company can make, right? So we'll just say a ticket price of $1.40 will result in the maximum profit of $784. That's just for that day, right? But the vertex gives us two things, right? It could have just asked for what is the maximum profit, then you just grab this number. It could have just asked for what ticket price will give me the maximum profit, then you just grab the 140. I just answered both because it just applies in this case, right? So just let me know you understand which number is the one, which one is which, and then I'm fine. You answer however you want, okay? Okay, so just making sure this number, if you think about it, $1.40 wasn't even in our table, right? Like we were going up in price and the tickets were decreasing. So, right, and this is just to get us started. And so then once we have this whole thing graph, we realize, hey, $1.40, like decreasing your price is actually going to do it, right? So here we go. How many tickets are expected to be sold at the price in C? This is how you do this question. We know that profit is equal to cost times tickets. Because right now the tickets, the number of tickets are not on our parabola, right? But we know that our profit is 784, right? We have that right here. We bring that in here, 784. We replace that. We know that the cost per ticket is $1.40, and number of tickets would be like my X variable. So what do you have to do to both sides to isolate X? We divide both by $1.40. So to find the other one that you haven't used to make your quadratic formula, just use this fact and just divide. It's going to end up being dividing, right? So 784 divided by, and you have to round in this case. It happens to be a round number, but number of tickets, we would expect a whole number, right? Okay. At a price of $1.40 per ticket, one could expect to sell 560 tickets. Okay. At a price of $1.40. So if you were to use the $1.40, which will maximize the profit, right? You need to now know, well, how many tickets would that be? So we go back to this fact. This is always true, right? And substitute, basically we're substituting what we got from the vertex into it, divide, and then figure out the number of tickets. Okay, next, what ticket price or what ticket prices would give, the other word for give is yield, would yield or would give a profit of 450. Explain why there are two possible prices. If you look at this, right, this is the Y value, right? Y value given. Okay. Therefore, we let Y2 equal to 450. And then we will go second trace 5 for intersect, right? So I'm going to just bring this down a little bit. Second trace 5. So let's find those two instances. So we're like, okay, we want to see where the 450 mark is. So we let Y2 equal to 450. And it happens twice, right? There's two instances where you get that 450. There's only one max profit. Anything less than the max profit, there's two scenarios. So let's make a little graph here and just show this is the Y2 is equal to 450 line. And remember, the x-axis for us is our ticket price. So let's make a line down. The first instance happens at second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. 0.49. 0.49. So 49 cents per ticket will get you to 450. Or you can go over to the other side and see what happens there. Second trace 5. Let's go over to that side. Enter, enter, enter. 2.32. 2.32. So in both cases, you make 450. As a business owner, let's say you own that theater. If you sell it at 49 cents a ticket, you're going to have a lot more people coming, right? If you sell 232, you're going to have fewer people, but you're charging more. Both give you the 450. Which one would you like as a business owner? That's up to you. I would probably want fewer people, less to clean up, right? Less cost in that sense, right? So we'll just answer why we do that. First of all, a profit, let's answer this question, a profit of 450 will be reached at ticket prices of 49 cents and, I hope you can read that, 232. Oh, it is 231. Sorry. I didn't round it correctly. I'm looking at my calculator, it's 231. 1 cent. No, never know. I will say this. The explanation is this. A lower ticket price results in more sales. More sales. A higher ticket price fewer sales. I don't think that takes much to wrap your head around that, right? But they both give the same profit. Both give same profit. So if you can just explain that using your own words, if I ever throw something like that at you, because in the background, the number of tickets are affecting our outcome. But we just don't see it at first glance. All right, we're going to graph this thing yet. So let's go to 55 and graph it. And I do the same thing as before. Nothing changes in terms of graphing. Okay. But so we're going to relate the ticket price and the profit. So let's do that right away. Ticket price or the cost in dollars. Remember, we're in the word problem category. By the way, on the test or quiz, 90% is going to be word problems. So, when you like to say the domain is all real numbers, maybe kind of forget about that. Like it's only if it's truly just a graph without a word problem. So here we have profit. And we know points already. So I'm just going to bring that up here. The vertex is $1.40, $7.84. 0 is part of it, right? 0 cost gives you 0 profit. There's the other x-intercept we need to find. Right? So these are both x-intercepts. So let's find the other one. So I should have done this right away, but we're now in the graphing category. So we're going to make y2 equal to 0. And we're going to go second trace 5. Some of you can guess what the x-intercept will be. Maybe I'll walk you through it before I find it. If we're at 0, 0, and it takes me to 1.4 to get to the center, right? It'll take me another 1.4 to get to right across from where I started. So it should be 2.8. But let's say you're nervous, it's test, right? You don't want to mess up. You just go ahead and find it. It doesn't take that long. So it's 2.8 right there. So we're going to go 2.8 or 2.80. These are my x-intercepts. And this is also the y-intercept, by the way. The 0, 0 is also my y-intercept. So I figured all of that. Now let's see how I can make this work. I don't need a whole lot of room. So if this is 1, 2, 3, that does the trick for me. So 1, 2, 3. You can make the markings in between, so that would be halfway, right? So that's pretty good. And profit, I need to go all the way to 784. So 800. Let's see if that works. 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. You should be able to do this by hand as well. No grid, right? Just consistently go up by the same amount. And so 0, 0 is my point. 2.8, this would be 2.5. So 2.8 would be somewhere in there. And 1.4, this would be 1.5. So 1.4 would be right about there, all the way to 784. That's 700. 784 is somewhere there. And then you just go ahead and as long as the point is within reason, we're good. So this is negative 400x squared. If your parabola points up, look at your point. Something went wrong. Do I have everything? Labels, scale, equation, and obviously the points and the shape. I would take a shape mark off if I see like a V, like almost like a perfect V. I think you would lose some marks there. It has to be a bit smoother on the edges, right? State the domain and range of the situation. For domain, we go from 0x, right, all the way to 2.80, where we break even. we would not consider anything past it, because if you don't make money, you're gonna go bankrupt, right? You're gonna close shop, right? The range, we go from 0, like no profit down here, all the way to the highest point, which is 784. And that's it. You're with me still, right? It's a long, I drag it a bit, I know, but I'm not going to ask all of these questions every single time, but that way you know you have notes, right, to go off of. Let's go here. This is going to be a little tricky, so you got to watch out here. Just to throw in a mix here, determine the equation relating what? The number of tickets and the profit. So far, we were relating the cost per ticket and the profit, correct? Now we're going to change it up, the number of tickets. So grab your calculator. It's actually not bad at all to change this. You just need to watch out. So you go stat, edit. Let's go back to our table for a bit. We used to have cost per ticket in L1. Now we're putting these numbers into L1. So go to L1 and just write over. Do we need to change our profit? Nope, stays the same. Stays the same. So, you're with me, right? I know it's kind of like sleeping weather right now, but I'm going to go back to my main screen. I know I just performed that regression not too long ago. I'm just going to copy paste that, run it again, run that again, and it looks different, right? It looks different, and it is a different curve. So let's write this down. Stat calc quadratic again. Y is equal to negative 0.0025. If it is a finite decimal, if it's 4 or 5 places, I tend to write the whole thing down. Oh, you can't see that. And then it's plus 2.8x, and c is 0. Right? Watch for that weird e to the negative something. Okay, that is 0 for us. So this is the new equation. Let's hit graph. This curve, let's think about it first. Is it going to be wide or narrow? It's going to be wide. So let's see what happens. Just hit graph. Don't do stat 9, or zoom 9, just graph. See how we just see like a very flat curve? So this is how we're going to fix it. Zoom 9. And so we get the beginning stages, right? We're going to go window, X-min -5, X max, I feel like I need to go 1500, Y min -5, Y max, I need to, what's going to be our highest profit? 784, right? Remember? So I'm just going to go 1,000 or something like that. 800 would have worked. Hit graph. There it is. This is the graph that relates the number of tickets and the profit. Okay. What is the maximum profit? How many tickets were sold? Well, let's find out. It better be 784, or else we have a problem. Okay. Second trace max. Go to the top, enter, enter, enter. So watch this, 560, 784. Didn't we get 560 earlier? Do you remember that? Does that number ring a bell? Because this is tickets, number of tickets, right? And this is the maximum profit. So I'm just trying to tell you that if you were to put the other two together, you still should get the same maximum profit at least, right? So maximum profit is still $784 after selling 560 tickets. I will just say same answer as D, right? Same answer as, but the 560 we found differently. We went 784 divided by $1.40, right? Because that was our ticket. So we got that 560 there. This is way more time consuming. I would not suggest you do this. Oops, sorry. I would not suggest you do this to find that. Okay. Okay. What a long lesson, right? Okay. I'm going to ask you to practice this though. There is page 56, 57, 58. I think it's going to be too much if you do all of that. So this is what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to just say 56. I'm going to skip to 56. I want you to do today. So I'm going to go 57. And 59. That one is type 1 regression. Type 1 revenue, right? 56, I want you to at least get started. I feel like you should be able to finish it and maybe even start 57. If you just want a word problem like that has nothing to do with regressions, come with me to page 60. That is also an option for you because that's still good too. That will always be with us. Just an equation given, no regressions at all, okay? And then just answer that. So I think I have the key to this attached to all these pages. So if you're really a go-getter, I will have everything from 56 all the way to 60 posted today. Yeah, I will post 56 to 60. Okay. And just to avoid confusion, I used to have a workbook and then notes, two separate. So that just erase the on page 55. Just get rid of that reference down there for homework. Okay, just get rid of that so you're not confused as to what needs to happen. So bottom of page 55, get rid of the little note at the bottom. Okay, that's it. That's all.